Hello everyone, this is Phoenix. I'm here with this video today to kind of show you in a more visual way the ecosystem of scars we have been creating for Genesis 9. This video is shipping out with one of our latest scar products, which is the HD Scars. And here, as you can see in this graphic, we are making it a big deal. The cross-compatibility is something that we have been striving for with the SCAR ecosystem this time around. If you remember our scars for Genesis 8, they were applied via LIE, and it created some challenges because not all PAs use the same channels for the same maps. And with the introduction of PBR skin shader, there is that added difficulty in where to place each of the materials so that the scar will look good on as many characters as possible. So we have been opting out from using LIE directly on the character, and instead we've been building things with geoshells so that the LIE is actually used on the geoshell, and all the settings of the product do not end up getting impacted by the settings of the skin, and vice versa. So our settings do not impact the underlying skin as well. So as you can see here, the face products, these first two, they have been out in the store for a while. Usually how we're dealing with things is 2 packs per concept, and then the first one is more simple scars, and then the second one is longer, deeper, or just more gruesome scars. So you have the simple scars here, and then the more severe scars here. Right now, we are launching the HD Scars, the simple version, but we are working on the severe one. So basically, here, what we're doing is, so first of all, let's say you have one of our products and you've already installed it. We recommend, rather than using smart content, we recommend using the content library, just because the organization will make more sense if you use the content library and everything is together. So even mix matching things will be a lot smoother this way. So once you've installed it, you want to go to your content library, wherever. Here I have a lot of different libraries, but let's say you go to the one that you know the product is installed in, then go to People, Genesis 9, Materials, Phoenix, Scars, and then all of the scar products that belong to this ecosystem will be under this. So now you have them all together. It's going to make it easier and smoother. So even though this is for the limb scars, I'm going to go over all of them just briefly. So the first ones, like we mentioned, that came out were the face scars. So the face scars, the Geoshell only includes maps for the head, because all the scars are reserved on the face. So arms, body, they don't have any maps, only the head, which means that if you apply that and then try to use the body LIE on this face scar, it's not going to work. The body scar, because we have a couple of scars in the neck, and if you notice here, the neck is part of the head surface, that means that this one actually has the surfaces for both the head and the body. By the way, the head surface here, so all these maps are the same as the maps for the face scars, which means that if you already own the face scars, the maps will just get replaced, but there's not going to be two copies of exactly the same maps in two different products, because that would be, we want to avoid just getting space with duplicates or cluttering your runtime. So this means that for the body scars, if you use this geoshell, you'll be able to apply the head lie directly onto this one, onto the, so if I do this, here I'm applying it. And then the limb scars, that one is basically the arms surfaces and the legs surfaces. So that means that the geoshell for this one will only have the maps for the arms and the legs. As you can see, the head and body, they have no maps. However, because we want you to be able to apply everything in just one geoshell without you having to worry about juggling 3 or 4, especially because geoshells need to be in different, here in the parameters. So the offsets for each geoshell would need to be different, because if you have 2 geoshells with the same offset distance, then one of them or even both of them won't be visible once you render. So just to avoid juggling so many, we wanted to make it so that you can use one geoshell or 2 geoshells maybe, like if you're doing carved scars and mixing it with keloid scars, maybe you want to have 2 different geoshells for that. So here we included this preset. So this property preset, limb scars, apply face and torso maps. Even though it says apply face and torso maps, it actually reapplies everything. So this means that if I apply this, now I'll have the body, the arms, the head, and the legs. So for this one to work, you need to own at least one face scar or at least one body scar. If you own the body scar and this one, you have all the maps. If you own the face scars and the limb maps, and you apply this, it will apply the face mask, but you might get an error because it doesn't have the torso maps, which you can only have if you have one of these 2 packs. So anyways, let's start with the applications. What I meant when I mentioned that I rather you use the content library to deal with these products is because, as you can see here, even though I'm adding 0, 0 as in saying that these can be applied at any point, you can apply them before or after. What's important is that you need to apply the geoshell before you apply the lie. And this is because the geoshell is the only one in this entire folder and in this one that you are going to apply to the character. If you hover over each of the icons, they'll tell you what you need to do. So here you need to apply it to your character, or this one, for example, you need to apply it to the scar shell. Even though this one doesn't say that you need to apply it to the scar shell, I might change that and add it there just to cover my bases. But all this information is also reinforced here. So here it explains what this preset is for. And it gives you the important note that applying this will reset the settings for the scars. Like, it won't touch the cutout opacity mask that you've been creating. But if you've already placed scars and you've already decided on the color, the glossiness, the intensity, the translucency, and then you decide like, oh, you know what, I'm going to also include the face mask, so I'll apply this will reset the settings. So keep that in mind, and that's why it's over here at 01.1. It's because my suggestion is to apply it right after applying this one. Here you have all the application process. explain with a ton of detail, I know, but I rather over-inform than under-inform, and this is mostly for people who might want to try and understand this product so that they can tweak it to whatever they desire to better achieve their vision. It's important to understand that when using geoshells, there's an impact when you have a character with a geograft. So let's say your character has a geograft with horns. And so when I apply my limb scars or my scar geoshell, those horns will get shown in white. And the problem with that is that I cannot do anything about it. Like that one, you will need to select the geoshell after the geograft has been applied, and then go to parameters. If you don't have this tab, you'll find it in Windows, Panes, and then parameters here. And it'll open up this. And then you want to go to shell, visibility, surfaces, and find the surface belonging to that geograft and toggle that to off. The problem is, like, let's say your geograft actually grabs part of the arm, like right here. And so you toggle that off, you won't be able to use any scar that comes across that surface that is hidden by that geograft, because then you're going to be having seams. So just keep that in mind. What else? Oh, so if you're using genitals, they'll be covered in white as well, the DAZ genitals, but I've included for those these two presets that I'll toggle them off, the feminine one and the masculine one. So you just need to select the scar shell and then toggle this. Use this to toggle it off. And it says so right here. When using genitals, select the scar geoshell and apply this preset to toggle them off. Now, if you want to, like I mentioned before, maybe you want to have carved scars and keloid scars and you don't want them to have the same color. You can, I'm doing this, like I'm renaming this just for convenience for me, like so that I remember. You can do it as well. I recommend it. Then you can apply a second geoshell. Let's call this one keloid, just so that we remember which is which. Oh, apparently I had already one, keloid 2. Okay, so my recommendation is to have the carved scars, which is the scars that will be caved into the skin or carved into the skin. That one, you can apply this FPE offset preset will make it so that this number right here, which is 0.40, because right now I have the same number in these two, this one will decrease. So I apply this, and now it's 0.035. So it's closer to my character's skin, whereas this one is farther. These other two are here just in case you want to include one other geoshell, or even if you have a character that has in their skin, like in this case, my character has a clay skin, just to make it more evident. But let's say if you had a character that had displacement, so a displacement map here, that will make it so that when you see it in the viewport, you will be able to see the scars, but when you render it, maybe the scars won't be showing up, or maybe you'll see like black cracks on the skin that's telling you that two things are competing for the same space. So in those cases, you might want to grab those and then use the far and farther presets. So now that we have these two in different spaces, let's say, oh, by the way, like I said, recommend just re-adding this just in case. But now you'll be able to use the Lie scars. See here, Okay, it shows up here. And then I don't know, this one, let's add this one. So now I have these two scars. And by the way, because the textures are already set basically on their entirety in the geoshells of like presets, the only thing that this LIE is actually building, and that's why it's so fast to apply, is the cutout opacity. So in this case, if I go to arms, which is where it's being applied, if I go to layered image editor, I can see here I have my two scars. Zoom to fit. So these are the only ones being applied, and that makes it a lot faster to apply, and it makes it easier to just clear the LIE, because when you click this one is a material preset that will just replace this mask with the empty runtime texture that I've included, so that it works as the base for the cutout map. So now that you have these two, right now they're using the same color. Now in my geoshell, because I recommend that, just apply the geoshell, then apply some LIE so that you can actually see the difference when you start to play with the colors, which are these ones. Like you will notice I always have the dark carved and dark colloid. Now these specifically, the material color presets, they are the same across all of these products, except the face maps. Actually, the face packs actually has less. They don't have the blue ones, and they don't have some of the other ones, which I included later on. But all of these will always apply the changes to all the FPE Scar General, which means they'll apply to the arms, the body, the head, and the legs. And you can change it to your heart's content without having to worry about the LIE. The LIE will stay there. Now, my recommendation is to use the carved ones on the carved scars, and then the colloid on the colloid scars. Having said that, you can do whatever you want, and it'll be fine. So basically, the dark ones will always be a darker shade than the colloid ones. And even if, like, let's say I'm using the dark colloid here and then the dark honey carved, like, even if I feel that is the color I want, but it's too intense. Okay, so as you can see here, this one isn't showing up, and that's because I might need to get this closer, maybe. Oh yeah, so when I went and added this, it probably reset my offset. So remember, you have to have this closer and this one reset, or even farther, so that they both show up. Otherwise, as you could see, only one of them would show up. Now, let's say that I like that color for the colloid, but it's too dark. Like, I would like it if it was less dark. So there's two things that you can do here. One is that you can change the translucency. So the higher the translucency, the darker it'll become, but the better blend it'll have with the underlying skin. Whereas low translucency will have a lighter color. The texture will actually show up more, but it will look less blended with the skin. So keep that in mind. The default translucency is like between these two, which I feel is the best of both worlds, where you can still get some light color but with a good blend. The other way that you can do it is through the intensity. So intensity is basically controlling the cutout opacity of the mask. So full is 1, low is actually 50% opacity. As you can see here, the thing to keep in mind is that the texture will also, like everything across the board, the normal map as well, will be set at 50% basically, because that's the cutout that we're using. Here you can see it. Intensity medium is 75. But let's say that you decide that 50 is still too much. Like I left it low at theirs at that value because I still wanted to show the this texture, this like porous texture, but you can make it even lower by just changing the value. By the way, here, as you notice, I'm only changing it for the arms and legs. You don't want to do that. It's best to just change it across the board here, just because you'll have some of the scars that might cross between, for example, the body and the head. And so you don't want to create seams by changing the value of the face only and then forgetting about the body. So it's best if you change any of these values to just change it using the selection set of Scars General. And by the way, that means that you can of course change this to whatever value you want. Like let's say you wish this was like more pink, so maybe would you change it to something like that, and you change the translucency to something like a little blue, and now you have this more beige looking color. So you want to play with these three values, and it'll change the scar. Now the other thing to see about these presets is I also included these ones, the texture detail and texture smooth. So this one basically will control the normal map. So right now my normal maps is at 1. If you use the texture smooth, it'll bring it down to 0.50. And as you can see, some of the texture, the porous texture, disappeared. Here is the detail one. So that's just, if you think this is too much, you can always use the texture smoother. The gloss will change some of the values here. So right now it has a glossy look that reflects the light. So if you remove it, you get a drier kind of look. So those are just extra presets, but you can also always come in here and change things to your heart's content, especially because the idea of using a geoshell is to allow you to play around with all these settings. Now, once you decided on your scars, how I personally do it is I build the lie, and then I match the lie to the shapes. So the shapes, you need to go back to your character and then apply them. So wait, I wanted the colloid there. So here's the colloid, and then for this one is the arms, and I wanted this one. So the scars will always be applied to 100%. But the beauty of it is that since they are HD morphs, you can see here currently used, here are my scars. Since they are HD morphs, you can always dial them down. So 50%, and then there's a hint of that indentation without it being too apparent. Same with the colloid. You can lower it and have it not as intense. If you have maybe a very extreme monster morph, You might even want to use the parameter stuff here, and then the maximum, maybe you want to change it to 150, and that'll give you a really, really intense look. That might work for like I said, for those monster characters, but usually 100 should be a good amount. And of course, if you don't want to use them, you can just dial them down. But this works perfect for if you want a faded scar. You can decrease these to, I don't know, maybe 30%, and then on top of that, you can also go to the intensity presets here and lower the impressity, lower the intensity to set it to low. And so now you have this faded scar. Now, what I meant about the cross-compatibility is that now, even though my Geoshell says limb, I can already, because I ensued by using this preset that all the maps are set, I can just go here to face simple or face severe and add whatever to the same geoshell. See, now I can use the map here and then go to the body and go to body severe as well, and then just add this chest one here, and now all of them are being controlled by the same geoshell. Same with the colloid, I can add this here without a problem. Now here in the geoshells, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the morphs again. So here I have two scripts, and these scripts are to set your render subdivision, not your viewport subdivision, just the render subdivision to 3 or 4, which is what you need so that they actually show up in your render. Usually a character, so how you can see it is here in the parameters with your character selected, go to general mesh resolution, and you see these values here. Usually your characters will look something like this, like viewport selection would be 1, and then render subdivision will be 3. And this is good because then the scars will show up, but you won't be able to see the scars all that much in viewport. Like here, I'm supposed to have these scars here, and as you can see, I can barely see them. Like I can see something, but just barely. If I increase my viewport resolution, by the way, every time you increase this one, the render subdivision will increase. Now I can see the scars. So just keep that in mind. Like if you're not seeing them in the viewport, it's probably because your view subdivision level is too low. And that's it basically. So I just wanted to show you how easy it was to use this product, how cross-compatible with this it is, and how we're thinking about just trying not to hoggle too many of the resources in space that you may have in your systems by just taking these decisions. And like I said, if you didn't like the scars, you can just clear them and restart. And of course, you can just delete them if you don't want them anymore. Dial them down, the morphs, or go to your, like the carved, and then use the shape 0, and it'll shape. It will take out all of these ones, and these ones will take down all of these ones. Of course, if you have a face or a body scar, then you need to use their 0 all, which is included in that pack. In that pack, like we don't have one that will 0 everything up. What else? I think that's it. Oh well, let me show you, because here I was showing it in the clay version just to make it easy, but here I've already had this character with some scars pre-selected or pre-added. But here's just to show you. So this one over here, I've set it as colloid, and so I can just go back to these presets and play with them, right? If I wanted it to be more apparent, maybe I would add the red carve, because even if it's carved, I can still use it. And now you have this reddish tint. The red colloid, as you can see, is lighter. Maybe you can increase the translucency to help with the blend, and then maybe on top of that I can just decrease to medium intensity or low intensity. I think I had it at low intensity. Yeah, full intensity will give you a really strong texture. So maybe if I'm using this really intense textures, I want to go to the light colloid instead, so that it blends more with the underlying skin, or light carved if that is too light. But yeah, you can easily change the color and the style and the look of the scar with all of these presets. And that's it. I hope that you like these new products, and I thank you for the support, and I hope to be able to keep making these videos for our next products, just so that the people who prefer to have these types of videos explaining and showcasing the product inside of DAZ Studio will be able to take this look with me. Thank you very much.